honestly, it's kind of funny how this stuff always seems to get out in the media, and how we always seem to have access to it at some point or another. Maybe, before we're even supposed to. Because today, what I wanted to do in this video commentary was dive into an article posted by Steven Rossner on the Hockey News. This is the official Detroit Red Wings reported trade offer for the New York Islanders D-man Noah Dobson. This was published on the Hockey News an hour ago, so it's going to be linked in the description. The interesting part is, this was posted and talked about all over social media, and we're seeing a lot of responses to it, so what better way to go out there and start our day on Red Wings talk than to be diving into trade offers? So, who exactly are the Red Wings acquiring in this proposed offer? It is New York Islanders D-man Noah Dobson, who is in a pretty tough spot because he needs a new contract as a member of the Islanders. 25 years old, big dude, Summerside PEI, right-handed D-man. And the problem with Dobson here is that he is coming off of a down year. He was slowed down due to injuries, and his production was cut in half. Last year, in 79 games played, Dobson had 70 points, 10 goals, and 60 assists. This year, though, he had 10 goals and 29 assists in 71 games played. So 39 total points, really a decline in production. He had a down year, but then again, a lot of other folks on the Islanders also had down years. Dobson, the majority of his production last year being assists, definitely did not help him out in getting that same production this year. But ultimately, when Dobson is at his best, he is a top 2 defenseman, and he's probably one of the top 10 best D-men in the NHL. Like, you might think, oh, top 10, that's kind of selling him short. Yeah, but there are a lot of other good D-men in the National Hockey League. I do think Dobson is among the best when he is at his peak. So with the Islanders going through some sort of an identity reform with their first overall pick, with potential decisions they have to make on Bo Horvat, Matthew Barzal, and others, JG Pageau is also on the block, and apparently he's going to the Bruins at some point. Who really knows? With all this in mind, the Islanders could be in a spot where Dobson is talked about in trades. This is why we dive into what the article on the Hockey News goes out there and says. The Detroit Red Wings have inquired about New York Islanders pending RFA D-man Noah Dobson. Reporter Bob Duff reports that Detroit's offer includes forwards JT Compher and Jonatan Berggren, with draft picks also likely being part of the discussion. Now, the reason why I'm using the Hockey News article to read this stuff instead of Bob Duff's article on Detroit Hockey Now is because Stephen Rossner, of course, he is an Islanders beat reporter, so he does go out there and write things from the Isles' perspective. Because obviously, when you're thinking about Detroit, okay, JT Compher, Jonatan Berggren, and some draft picks for Noah Dobson, yeah, you're getting the much better player out of the bunch, and the Red Wings are in a spot where I guess draft picks are kind of like candy at this point. Fans are restless, they want this team to start contending for the playoffs and not missing out every single year. The Red Wings have tried to speed up that process, but it just hasn't worked out, and now there are a bunch of young dudes in the organization, and questions as to whether or not you really need any more of them. If you wanted to trade away younger assets for a guy or guys that can help you out in the now, I can definitely understand that idea. So Berggren, Compher, and whatever draft picks are needed to make it work for Noah Dobson. Obviously, I'd say that it's maybe a little bit lopsided if you're not talking about like first-round draft picks in here, but Dobson in Detroit would be an absolute stud D-man. It would finally give Mo Seider the breathing room and the capacity to just kind of let himself go a little bit more. He doesn't need to be relied upon for every single difficult matchup and difficult minute that is played on that Red Wings blue line. And then going over the other way, this is what the article here on the Hockey News says. Compher recorded 32 points in 76 games. He primarily centered the Red Wings' third line and has 3 years on his deal at $5.1 million. Berggren recorded 24 points in 76 games. He is an RFA and played as Compher's right winger, but he's also capable of playing on both sides. the Red Wings owned a 13th overall pick in the upcoming draft. There's no question the Islanders could use some shoring up in their bottom six, and with J.G. Peugeot garnering interest, getting a centerman so that Cal Ritchie doesn't have to be rushed into a second-line center role, we'll see if Matthew Barzal stays on the wing or not, Compher is a solid addition. The Isles need wingers, and getting a young one wouldn't hurt. But, given Dobson's potential output, he already has a 70-point season under his belt, the Islanders can likely get much stronger pieces or draft assets from other teams. Dobson, a 25-year-old who will be an RFA on July 1st, was rumored to be asking for $11 million AAV on his next deal. While that may not be accurate, the number is likely closer to $10 million. Islanders GM Matthew Darche has yet to make a decision. Dobson is arbitrary... Okay, that's spelled so wrong. I'm sorry, Stefan Rosner, but Dobson is arbitration eligible and is one season away from being a UFA. And, I do somewhat agree here that while it is reported that this offer is out there, Berggren, Compher, maybe the 13th overall pick, and some other goodies too, I kinda do think that Rosner has a point here. If the Islanders really wanted to trade Dobson, there would probably be another NHL team or two or three that could offer up better players than Compher and Berggren. Not to disrespect those guys, I mean, Berggren's still young. I've been a very big fan of Berggren ever since his draft-eligible year in 2017-18. The fact that he is an NHL player is a pleasant surprise for me personally, who had cheered for this guy ever since his days in the Skellefteå AIK system, so obviously I'm fine with Berggren. But is this guy the needle mover that will ultimately make a trade for Noah Dobson worth it for the Isles? Is JT Compher that piece? Honestly, it would just be like taking a bunch of the, dare I say, extra forwards that the Wings have and just kind of mushing them all together and saying, all right, we'll toss over the 13th overall pick and then we'll get a guy like Dobson. I just don't think it's a strong enough collection of players to make things work in that way. So while the offer is apparently on the table, the Isles, I guess they have it in their best interests to just kind of wait. In fact, we are so early into the offseason that if the Isles wanted to use Detroit's offer as bargaining power, they could probably level up their trade price and ask from other teams, especially with this information now being available in the public eye. So with all that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the trade offer that was put onto the table for Islanders D-man Noah Dobson? If Darche were to make this his very first trade as Isles GM, I get that the 13th overall pick is valuable, but trading away Dobson for Compher and Berggren, something about that just rubs me the wrong way, and I feel kind of selfishly sinister as a Red Wings fan to be thinking about this idea, and I think that kind of paints the picture enough as to how unfair this trade proposal seems to be. But that's just me. If you think this is fair, you could go out there and let me know in the comment section all your opinions. That is totally your prerogative. Let me know, how do you feel about this trade idea here? Detroit sends Jonatan Berggren, JT Compher, the 13th overall pick, and maybe some other picks to New York for Noah Dobson. Does it work? Does it not? Let me know in the comment section your opinions. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And bye.